Aboriginal rights. When Europeans began settling in North America during the 1600s, they formed partnership with First Nations communities. The term First Nations is used to recognize Aboriginal peoples as belonging to distinct cultural groups with sovereign rights based on being the first people in Canada. In 1867, European immigrants were flocking to Canada. From 1867 to 1921, Aboriginal peoples were forced from their land and onto reserves. Attempts were made to assimilate them into the European Canadian culture. In 1868, the first Indian Act was passed, which rejected Aboriginal self-government and methods of justice. Aboriginal children were separated from their parents and forced to attend English residential schools, where many were physically, sexually, and emotionally abused. In 1973, in Calder versus the Attorney General of British Columbia, the Supreme Court ruled that Aboriginal peoples could claim title over land that they had occupied. This decision has led to many land claim settlements over the years. In 1997, in the Dalgamuth versus British Columbia, the Supreme Court established a test to prove Aboriginal title. If Aboriginal peoples could prove that they occupied the land exclusively before Britain's involvement, they had the right to claim title. This decision has helped Aboriginal peoples with demands in treaty negotiations. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms recognizes Aboriginal rights, but it is not specific when it comes to issues such as Aboriginal people's desire for self-government. An attempt to reform Canada's constitution by the Mulroney government failed in 1990. Elijah Harper, a Cree politician in Manitoba, helped defeat the Meech Lake Accord by voting against it because it did not recognize First Nations peoples as founding members of Canada. Despite gains made in Aboriginal and treaty rights, there are still issues in the Aboriginal community. Poverty and poor education is a widespread problem in Aboriginal people's communities. There are social and health issues, including high rates of alcoholism, drug addiction, and youth suicide. There are the outstanding land claims. Settling these claims could be very costly for both the federal and the provincial government. The Aboriginals have a desire for self-government. This is a traditional right of Aboriginal peoples that was taken away from them in the first Indian Act.